Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to try to tie up some of the loose ends from Parshat Korach and be able to move on. One of the main loose ends that we had is, and we're going to get back to this at the end, is what happens to Korach and what was wrong with his rebellion. Why was it doomed from the first place? A smaller loose end, but the one that we're going to focus on mostly today, is the story of On ben Pelet. We noted from the very beginning that On ben Pelet is kind of weird because we don't really know who he is. We have no reference for him. Unlike Korach and unlike Datan and Aviram, he sort of comes out of nowhere. And what's even stranger is we don't really know what happens to him. So the first thing I want you to do, and I'm going to ask you guys to turn off the recording for 1 minute while you look up the answer to this, is where was the last time that we saw On ben Pelet? Where do we see him and what's he doing? So stop the recording right now. In your chavrutas or by yourself, just look and see where is the last point that we see him mentioned. Okay, so hopefully what you saw is that the last time we saw him was at the very beginning of the parsha, and that we don't really see him again. We don't know what happened. We see that Moshe responds to the 250 and tells them about the incense test. He tries to call Datan and Aviram up to get them involved, and they refuse to come. And we don't see On ben Pelet involved at all. We don't know what happens to him. Is he swallowed up? Is he in the fire? We don't know. We do know later on that he wasn't killed, okay? But we don't know why, and we don't see any mention of him. If you remember, another question I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to stop for a second so you can answer, is what was On ben Pelet's issue? Okay, if he was one of the Reuven people, if he was involved not with the 250 and the Levium, but if he was involved with the Reuven people, what was his issue with the rebellion? You can pause for a second, or you can just call out an answer. I obviously can't hear you. But the answer is, hopefully you came up with this, is that they, or he, disliked Moshe's leadership, and he wanted a change of leaders. Probably, or possibly at least, he wanted Korach to be his leader. So the Midrash picks up on the fact that we don't see him. And in a combination of the Midrash Tanchuma and the Gemara, which I have for you in the Google Doc, and at this point, I want you guys to please open the Google Doc, either on the screen or on your own screen, phone or computer, so that you can follow along. I have for you a combination of the Midrash Tanchuma and the Gemara from Sanhedrin, which discusses this. And because the Chazal was bothered by the same issue of what happens to On ben Pelet, where is he, what's going on. So I'm going to read to you. I'm not going to translate. That's going to be your job today. Hopefully the way that you'll translate is after I've read for you and you've punctuated. I'm hoping that you will have access to some dictionaries, some Aramaic dictionaries, so that you can translate and find out at each point what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to read for you. I'm going to read slowly. Hopefully you have it in front of you, a copy of the Gemara and the Midrash, and you'll be able to punctuate it as we go. Okay, so here we go. Amar Rav, On ben Pelet, Ishto Hatzilato. Amrale, my nafkalach mina, imar rava ant talmida, ve'imar rava ant talmida. Amar la, maya aviv, have be'etza v'ishtavi li bahadayu. Amrale yadana dechula knistat kdishta, ninhu tichtiv ki kol ha'eda kulam kedoshim. Amrale, tuv da'ana matzilanalach, ashkite chamra, va'arvite, va'agnite gavai, otva albava, v'satarta lemazeh, kol da'ata chazi hadar adhachi v'hachi ebalalehu. Hainu dechtiv, chachamot nashim banta beta. Zu ishto shel On, v'ulat biadei taharsena, zu ishto shel Korach. Okay, so go ahead and watch that however many times you need to punctuate correctly in your own Gemara, in your own copy of it. And what I want you guys to do is to figure out what's the conversation between On ben Pelet and his wife. Okay, so that's what's going on. Chazal say, here's the story. On ben Pelet does disappear. We don't see him again. The reason is his wife. Ultimately, what it says is his wife saves him. That's, I'll give you the first sentence, right? Amar Rav says, On ben Pelet, Ishto Hatzilato. On ben Pelet, his wife saves him. So that it records a conversation that happened between them. Now, you know, or hopefully, Amra le, she said to him, Amar la, he said to her. So there's a dialogue, there's a conversation. And then the very end where it says, Haini dichtiv chachamot nashim banta beta, so there it's quoting a pasuk from Mishlei, okay? And there's a first part of the pasuk, which it says refers to On ben Pelet's wife, and the second part of the pasuk, which it says refers to Korach's wife, being not a good example. Okay, so what I want you guys to do is find out, what does she say to him that convinces him that he should uninvolve himself? What does he say to her? Okay, how does he respond? And ultimately, how does she go about saving him? That's what I want you guys to work on today. Okay? If you don't get it, if it's not perfect, whatever, that's okay. But I'd like you guys, please, to, work together. You can work together either as a class, or probably better is to work in small groups. And I'd like each group to just send me an email with what you got. Okay? Even if it's totally wrong, that's okay. It's a learning experience today. If you have a chance, I then want you to go back to our very, very, very beginning question, the very beginning of the Google Doc. Where did Korach go wrong? Okay, after everything that we've learned, why was his rebellion doomed from the beginning? Why do Chazal call his type of argument a machloket lo l'shem shamayim? What was the point of no return for him? What was so bad about what he did? Bringing in all the things we learned, the Rav, the different commentaries, this, everything. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to do. Go to it, and I will see you guys tomorrow.